At the beginning of the series, we are introduced to Doongi, a boy from a wealthy family who is currently attending school. While he was eating lunch, Hwan and his friends approached him. They mocked him and added their leftovers to his meal, commanding him to eat everything since he had no friends to defend him. Doongi, having no one to support him, complied with their orders. As he ate, they laughed at him. Elsewhere, we see Ji-hwoo taking selfies and posting them on her Instagram, but the pictures didn't get much attention. Hwan then advised her that if she wanted more likes, she should post a photo with her love interest. Instead, she posted a picture with Doongi and captioned it accordingly. Within seconds, the post received a lot of love. When she later met with her friend, she told her that her post had gone viral. Meanwhile, since Doongi had now become popular, students started rushing to take photos with him. Hwan and his group, upon seeing this, became upset and threatened him once again. Sometime later, Ji-hwoo opened her locker and found an envelope with money inside, a thank you gift from Doongi. Later on, Ji-hwoo attended a school party, which was filled with classmates. The main event featured a handsome boy named Suban, known as the most attractive guy in school. All the girls were smitten by him. Among the attendees was Iwan, a girl with a sharp tongue. During the party, Ji-hwoo approached her friend Jean, who was an excellent dancer. Also present was Seok, a boy who liked Jean and was always kind to her. Jean encouraged him to confess his love, especially since it was their final year of school. She planned to tell him how she felt during graduation. However, Ji-hwoo had no interest in their conversations. She was only focused on how to become more popular. When Jean asked her how her dancing was going, she replied that she wasn't very good, but mentioned her father was a former artist who had achieved a lot of success. After completing their performance, the teacher dismissed them. Later on, Suban met Jean and complimented her beauty. Jean liked him instantly, but left without saying much. When she later shared what had happened with her friends, one girl revealed that she had known Suban for over 10 years. They were close friends, but never dated. She admitted that when she finally wanted to confess her love, Jubin ruined the moment, and she lost her chance. Meanwhile, Suban gave ice cream to the class beauty and chatted warmly with her. From their conversation, she sensed he liked her. Gaining courage, she confessed her feelings to him, but he told her he wasn't ready for a relationship. She was deeply hurt and thought about it that night. The next day, when her friends asked about Suban, she claimed she would no longer have anything to do with him. Ji-hwoo, upon hearing this, put on some makeup, as she loved to beautify herself. When Iwan was asked about the topic, she said she didn't like makeup or gyms. Surprisingly, when she later walked into the restroom wearing makeup, she ran into Jean. Jean told her she was happy to see her improving herself and encouraged her not to be ashamed of caring for herself and to stay attractive. Then she left, leaving Iwan feeling awkward. Later, when she opened Instagram, Iwan saw a picture her friends had taken without her. She also saw a photo of Subin with Jean. This made her angry, feeling like the girl had taken everything from her. Elsewhere, Subin met Jean again. After a sweet conversation, he seemed to like her, though Jean wasn't confident about their future. When he asked for help with graduation preparations, she gladly agreed because she liked him. While chatting with him, Jean asked a question, but he didn't respond. The next day, Ji-hwoo received a message from the boy asking to meet her in the park. She was thrilled, thinking he liked her, and got herself ready. When they met, after walking in a moment of silence, he told her he wanted to be friends with her. He didn't define what their relationship would be, but admitted he liked her. When she asked if he loved her, he didn't answer, which left her heartbroken again. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about Subin and what to do. The following day, when they met, he dressed nicely and was very kind. She assumed he liked her. But while they were talking, he saw Iwan and called her over, saying he wanted to speak with her after school. Elsewhere, Hyuk was watching Jean from afar, clearly in love with her and thinking about her. He later sat with Ji-hwoo, who told him, "Are we not meant for happiness? Everyone I love ends up hurting me." At that moment, one of the students came and shared important news, and Doongi appeared, now famous after the photo went viral. He entered the classroom with confidence, and the students surrounded him to take photos since he was now a celebrity. Ji-hwoo's friends left her to go take photos with him, but she only stared at Subin, who was now laughing and working with Iwan. After the class ended, Siwon went to the bathroom to talk to Iwan while she was applying makeup. She helped her apply it and thanked her sincerely. Ji-hwoo didn't tell Iwan what she wanted and simply left. Meanwhile, after school, Doongi met up with his friend, a hacker named Koman, and told him that everything had changed now that he had become famous. Kuman had warned him to be very careful, and I told him I wanted to become a killer. I added, "If you share my secret with anyone, I'll kill you." The next day after school, Ji-woo followed her friend to the cafeteria. When they arrived, they found Subin already there. They assumed he had come to meet Ji-woo, but right then, Iwan also showed up. That's when Jin realized there might be something going on between Subin and Iwan. When she confronted him about it later, he told her to stay out of their business, and Jin walked away, feeling hurt. Not long after, Subin met Ji-woo privately and confessed that he had been searching for her for a long time, but she challenged him. Choose between me and her. Without hesitation, he chose Iwan and walked away. But Ji-woo followed him and told him that if he could leave her so easily, she wasn't worth his time in the first place. Subin simply said he was free to make his own choices and had chosen Iwan. Meanwhile, Doongi and his friends met with the CEO of a company, hoping to pitch an idea. Doongi, fired up with passion, said he wanted to do advertising for them and promised to do anything to make the company successful. Although the CEO admired his courage, he didn't offer him a job. Elsewhere, Kumin was sitting at his computer like usual when his friend told him that an embarrassing video of him had gone viral on social media. Kumin was shocked. The next day, the whole school was talking about it, and the students were stunned. When Doongi returned to school, he was bullied and threatened, warned that if he ever acted like a celebrity again, he'd be beaten up. Jin, after seeing what happened, tried to help him. But Kumin showed up and started a fight with Shin, warning him that if he ever got close to his friend again, he would kill him. He also lashed out at Ji-woo, accusing her of dragging his friend into this mess for money. Kumin then tried to take his friend away, but Doongi refused, admitting that he had caused the whole problem. He revealed that he was the one who told the girl to upload the photo to social media, all because he wanted to become famous. He apologized to Ji-woo before leaving. Just before he left, a teacher arrived and asked if anyone was in trouble, but no one spoke up. That night, Subin went home and put on oversized clothes. Somewhere else, the teacher started questioning Ji-woo and Kumin because he suspected they were responsible for all the school's chaos. Ji-woo then asked the teacher if she could participate in the upcoming talent show. She wanted to show her skills to Iwan and Subin. After school, while walking, Ji-woo discovered that Hoomin was a talented musician. She asked him to join the talent show, but he declined, saying he hated performances. She tried to convince him, telling him that if he joined, she would succeed, but if he refused, she'd fail. He didn't respond and just walked away. 6 months later, Iwan was spending time with a man who was a friend of her father's. She had gone to his bar to learn how to play piano. While she was there, she saw someone playing beautifully. Her uncle told her the guy was a student from her school. That's when she realized it was Subin, who had been hiding from her. The next day, Jean went to the park to relax and saw Iwan carrying the same handbag she had once wanted to buy online. It turned out they had already chatted about it online before. As they talked, Jean told Iwan she couldn't afford the full price of the bag, and Iwan offered to cover the rest. That's when Jean discovered that Iwan had been the girl she chatted with online. Despite being poor, Iwan loved pretty things and always found a way to get what she wanted. Since Jean had opened up to her, Iwan gifted her the bag, explaining that she only bought something fancy once a year. That's when it became clear. Iwan was actually a rich girl. Elsewhere, the man who owned the bar found out Subin had lied about being a high school student. He was actually a university student. Even so, Subin thanked him for giving him a job. The man, impressed by his effort, told him he'd increase his salary starting today. Meanwhile, Ji-woo was knocking on Hoomin's door. When he opened it, she asked him to come with her to school, but he refused. After knocking for an hour and losing hope, she left. At school, she saw Yuk confessing his love to Jean, but Jean didn't seem interested. At the same time, Subin was spending a lot of time with Iwan. Ji-woo, upon seeing this, felt sad. When Yuk saw his friend being ignored by a boy from her class, he got very angry. But Jean ignored his jealousy. Later, when Hoomin opened his locker to go outside, he found Ji-woo had already come into his room. Seeing how messy it was, she encouraged him to clean up. He asked if she could help, and together they started cleaning. Afterwards, they went outside and ate a meal. Ji-woo used the moment to ask Hoomin once again to join the talent show, but he ignored her and started playing with a puppy. Still, Ji-woo didn't give up and tried to convince him again, but he refused. The next day, while Ji-woo was heading to class, she saw Subin. Without speaking to him, she coldly dismissed him. When they entered class one after the other, Jean mistakenly thought they had made up, but Ji-woo denied it. Later, the teacher came in and began writing down the names of students participating in the talent show. Since Hoomin still hadn't arrived, Ji-woo had no choice but to sign up herself. Subin was chosen as the pianist, but he announced he would be performing with Iwan instead. Everyone was surprised, but Ji-hwoo felt relieved. She didn't want to perform with him anyway. After that, all the students received a message. It was an old video of Soobin that Ji-hwoo had recorded back when they were still friends. The footage was from a bar, and when the students saw it, Soobin told them it was from the past. However, most of the students assumed that something was still going on between him and Ji-hwoo. Then, someone found those pictures again and threatened Soobin. If he didn't defend Ji-hwoo, his own secret would be exposed. At this point, we learn that the person behind all of this was none other than Iwan. When Soobin found out, he became furious with her. But when he confronted her, Iwan claimed she had received a message from an unknown number that had pressured her to leak the photos. Before he could say anything more, the teacher intervened, reminding them about the upcoming registration deadline. Embarrassed and disheartened, Ji-hwoo quickly left the classroom. Meanwhile, when Soobin dug deeper into Iwan's actions, he discovered that she had already known his secret, that he had once worked in a restaurant. She had taken those pictures back then, pretending she didn't know him. Soobin admitted he had tried to hide the photos, but they ended up leaking anyway. Furious that he had hurt Ji-hwoo because of Iwan's manipulation, he walked away. Later, Soobin made a phone call, and we learned he was under financial pressure. Because of this, he was forced to work part-time while studying. When Iwan approached him again, she offered to help ease his burdens. Although Soobin didn't respond immediately, he eventually accepted her help. Still, he remembered how, when he once confessed to Ji-hwoo, she had harshly rejected him, leaving a wound in his heart. The next day, they all returned to class. Soobin stared at Ji-hwoo, contemplating whether to apologize. But Iwan opposed the idea and approached him, claiming the teacher urgently needed him. A bit later, they found the teacher asleep, and Iwan lied, saying he had forgotten their meeting. After that, Soobin sent a message to Ji-hwoo, asking to meet after school. At that moment, she was hanging out with her friends. After their talk, Ji-hwoo went to Hooman's house and asked him to help her with her song, but he declined, saying he wasn't interested in music. Because of that, Ji-hwoo began working on her song alone. Hooman, moved by her sincerity, started to like her. Elsewhere, Jean was watching a guy dancing and found herself drawn to him. But her own boyfriend walked in and, noticing her gaze, got jealous. Trying to impress Jean, he started dancing too, but failed miserably and ended up getting laughed at by everyone. Back in another classroom, Ji-hwoo was exhausted and fell asleep on the table after working hard all day. Hooman saw her sleeping and admired her beauty. He also lay down but couldn't fall asleep due to his mental stress. When Ji-hwoo woke up, she resumed working, and Hooman, finally moved, agreed to help her with her song. After that, she left. Meanwhile, Soobin was practicing his music with Iwan by his side. At one point, she confessed her feelings to him, but he didn't respond. Instead, he asked her to leave. Iwan, hurt, told him they should leave together, but he refused. Later, Ji-hwoo again asked Hooman to join her for the performance. Although hesitant, he complimented her voice, calling it beautiful, but still didn't give a clear answer, and she left. Elsewhere, Soobin waited in the classroom for Ji-hwoo, but Jean arrived instead and told him that Sheen had messaged everyone to cancel school. At that moment, we learned that Soobin was afraid of facing Ji-hwoo again, as he had hurt her deeply in the past. Later, Soobin met Ji-hwoo, who was with Sheen. Soobin told her that he had been fired from his job because of Doongi, and now needed Ji-hwoo's help to become famous, given her popularity. But Ji-hwoo refused and advised him to apologize to Doongi. She promised that if Doongi forgave him, she would do anything to help him. Afterward, Ji-hwoo met with Soobin. Though their relationship was still shaky, she asked how he was doing. Soobin sincerely apologized and they reconciled. They even played together afterward. But Soobin, still weighed down by guilt, couldn't bring himself to tell her everything. Ji-hwoo, however, was happy to have reconnected and told him to forget everything she had done for him in the past. Soobin apologized again. While they were talking, he suddenly received a call from the school director, asking him to come immediately. He left in a hurry. When he arrived, he was surprised to see the music company's CEO there. They wanted Soobin to work with them. However, feeling overwhelmed, Soobin quickly left the meeting and sat alone on the street, devastated. He ignored every call he received. Eventually, Ji-hwoo called, but Iwan picked up the phone instead and told her that Soobin was with her, and asked her never to call again. Ji-hwoo was shocked and hurt, unable to understand what had happened to him. Shortly after, Hooman called Ji-hwoo and told her he was now ready to work with her, though he was running late. When we return to the earlier events between Iwan and Soobin, we find out that they had loved each other long before. Iwan had known all along that Subin was a university student, which is why she had kept his secret. Sometime later, when she joined the school, Ji-hoo warmly welcomed her and quickly made her a close friend. That's how she also got to know Subin. And from that time on, she had always liked him. Later on, when Ji-hoo opened her locker, she saw a letter had been placed inside. But she didn't think much of it since she often received anonymous letters. However, being a clever girl, Jin, who was in the same class, immediately realized who had written the letter. Jin had approached Ji-hoo with the intention of helping her. The two eventually became friends, though Iwan was always uncomfortable around Ji-hoo because she was more popular. Everyone assumed Ji-hoo was just a quiet and harmless girl based on appearance. As the school prepared for a talent showcase, each student was expected to present a skill to compete. Given Ji-hoo's popularity, all the students requested that she sing for them. Meanwhile, a group of boys was seen using a laptop to do something suspicious. They were known for damaging students' reputations. During Ji-hoo's performance, her voice was altered mid-song, and the entire audience laughed at her. At the same time, a nude photo of a girl appeared on the projector. It became clear that these hackers had breached the teacher's laptop to cause chaos. Subin rushed to the scene and quickly turned off the laptop. Ji-hoo was heartbroken. Her hopes were crushed. Later that evening at Hooman's house, she tried singing again, but her mind was distracted. Seeing this, Hooman gently encouraged her to sing with feeling and focus. She took his advice and practiced all night. The next day, Jean performed a dance for the talent panel, impressing everyone. A teacher later called her to the office and told her she had won the competition and earned a scholarship to a national university in Seoul. Jean was overjoyed, but the teacher reminded her that her success came from hard work. Later, when Jean shared the news with her friends, Iwan grew jealous. Iwan claimed that Jean had paid off the judges to win. This deeply upset Jean, who said everything was earned through her own efforts. Iwan then insulted Jean, calling her a poor girl and boasting that she came from a wealthy family and could buy her way to victory if she wanted. Furious, Jean clapped back, saying, "You're a fool with no real worth," and walked away. Later, Iwan asked Ji-hoo to speak privately after class. During their talk, Ji-hoo confronted her about the incident at the talent show. Iwan dropped her innocent facade and admitted she orchestrated everything. She told Ji-hoo to stay away from Subin, claiming she had loved him for a long time. Ji-hoo, angered by this, responded that she would speak to Subin as much as she wanted, just to spite Iwan. Elsewhere, Jean was with Hyuk, who decided to reveal his talent in hopes of impressing her. It was the first time Jean found herself genuinely impressed by a boy. That night, Iwan asked her father for money, but he brushed her off, saying he was too busy. A few days later, the competition day arrived. Everyone was prepared to show their talents. Jean performed a beautiful dance that captivated the entire audience. Then it was Ji-hoo and Kumin's turn. Ji-hoo was nervous, still shaken by her previous embarrassment, but Kumin reassured her by telling her to just look at him and ignore the crowd. She started singing with a beautiful voice, winning over the crowd. However, partway through, her microphone glitched. It turned out someone had tampered with it, and Iwan had paid them to do it. Subin stepped in, exposed the sabotage device, and called out Iwan's scheme in front of everyone. Now, everyone saw Iwan for who she truly was. Subin declared she wasn't worthy of friendship. Afterward, Kumin approached Ji-hoo, asking if she wanted to leave the event. But Ji-hoo went to Subin first and thanked him for revealing the truth. She also told him he was a good person. Then she left with a smile. Meanwhile, Hyuk performed a live comedy skit that impressed everyone. Afterward, his friends offered him a drink, but he refused, saying he didn't drink alcohol. He chose a regular drink instead, but it had been spiked. Jean was watching and enjoying his performance, but later overheard people saying he was drunk and being filmed. His own friends had drugged his drink and were recording him to humiliate him. Jean arrived just in time, began recording them instead, and scared them off. Hyuk thanked her for defending him. Elsewhere, Ji-hoo had finished her class and was heading home when Kumin caught up to her. He told her that she had changed his life, that he really liked her, and while he wasn't pressuring her, he hoped she'd think about his feelings. Then he joked with her to lighten the mood. Subin saw this and felt disheartened. Later, he called Iwan and asked to meet. When they met, he told her he was done with her threats and manipulation. He said if she leaked the videos she had of him, it wouldn't change his decision. He didn't want any kind of relationship with her anymore. Then he walked away. The next day, Subin didn't go to school. Instead, he went to the park to clear his mind. There, he called Ji-hoo and asked if they could meet up. A while after they met, Subin told Ji-hoo everything about his life. how Iwan had always taken advantage of his situation, especially since she was the one paying for his school fees. "But I've decided to stay away from her now," he said, "because she turned you against me." For a whole week after that, Ji-woo couldn't stop thinking about everything he had said. Eventually, she called Iwan. Later, Ji-woo had lunch with Hoomin, while Iwan didn't leave her house at all. Every student now knew her true colors. Even her friends began distancing themselves. And when she tried chatting with them, they brushed her off. She was furious. The next day, the results of the talent show were announced. Jin had won. Hyuk, taking the opportunity, confessed his feelings to her. The following day, when Iwan returned to school, she pretended everything was fine, being extra nice to everyone and handing out gifts. But Jain, noticing this, immediately saw through the act. When they spoke, Iwan congratulated Jin with a smile. But Jin responded, "I know who you really are. You're a horrible person." Iwan snapped, "I'm rich. If I wanted to, I could buy you." But Jin calmly replied, "You're a fool. You always boast about your father's money, but you have no talent of your own. You don't believe in yourself. No matter how much you spend, you'll never reach my level." Iwan, enraged, shouted, "Give me back the money I gave you." Jin laughed, "I never asked you for anything. You gave it to me. I owe you nothing." Furious, Iwan attacked her, and Ji-woo had to step in and break up the fight. Then she turned to Iwan and said, "If you want to control people in this class, go stand alone in an empty room. No one respects you here. Your arrogance and jealousy are destroying your life." Then she walked away. Later, Ji-woo met with Kumin. Although she was still thinking about Subin, Kumin told her about something that had been bothering him. He revealed that some time ago, when he came to her house looking for her, he ran into Subin and told him to stay away because of the way he had treated her in the past. "But," Kumin continued, "he told me that you both love each other. And if I ever get the chance to win your heart, I promise I'll never hurt you." Then he quietly left. Next, Ji-woo was seen opening her locker when Sheen approached her and asked if she would post a photo of him on her Instagram so he could gain some fame. When she refused, he showed her a video of the boys who had sabotaged her performance. That's when she learned the truth. Sheen was the leader of that group, and Iwan had paid them to ruin her show. Ji-woo took a photo of Sheen and posted it anyway. And ironically, that was how he finally became popular. Unbeknownst to the boys, Sheen had secretly recorded them while they were plotting against Ji-woo. He did it to eventually expose the group's true nature. After all this, Ji-woo left. When the school year ended, Ji-woo began going live every day, singing for her growing number of fans. She became quite popular. At the same time, Kumin continued pursuing his music career. One day, during a live stream, her fans asked her to hold an in-person concert, and she happily agreed. Since she was growing tired of online shows, she preferred meeting them in real life. When the day of the concert came, Kumin played the music while Ji-woo performed beautifully on stage. Kumin was mesmerized by her voice. Subin was also there, silently watching from the crowd, following her wherever she went, always keeping his distance. During the final week of school, Ji-woo opened her locker and found a letter. It was from Subin. In it, he wrote that even after 6 months apart, he never stopped thinking about her. "I wish you a bright and beautiful future." The letter ended. After the graduation ceremony, Ji-woo and Subin met again unexpectedly. And just like that, after everything they had been through, the two finally reunited. Despite all the obstacles, rumors, and betrayals, true love had found its way. The end.